India at the moment has over a million COVID-19 constructive circumstances. Representational, New Delhi. In an effort to collectively fight the novel coronavirus, Israel Thursday mentioned it is going to ship to India on board a particular flight A analysis group which has been working with the Indian facet to develop a speedy testing equipment for COVID-19 which can provide a consequence inside 30 seconds within the coming weeks. Israel's Ministries of Overseas Affairs, Defense and Well-being will lead an unprecedented anti-COVID-19 cooperation operation between India and Israel. An Israel embassy assertion mentioned a particular deliberate flight from Tel Aviv to New Delhi is ready to hold a excessive rating. Israeli Defense Ministry Analysis and Growth Group, which has been working with India's chief scientist K. Vijay Raghavan and Defense Analysis and Improvement Organization to develop speedy testing for COVID-19 in underneath 30 seconds. It mentioned merging Israeli know-how with Indian growth and manufacturing capabilities goals to permit a swift resumption of regular life alongside the virus. The Israeli embassy mentioned the flight can even deliver breakthrough rising Israeli applied sciences for combating COVID-19, which have been donated by Israel's Overseas Ministry and Personnel Sector meant to bolster India's response to the outbreak. Lastly, the aircraft will ship mechanical ventilators which got particular permission by the authorities of Israel for export to India. The assertion mentioned the previous few years have cemented the strategic relations between India and Israel and have included two historic visits of the Prime Ministers in Israel and in India. The embassy mentioned, for the reason that outbreak of the worldwide pandemic, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have held 3 telephonic conversations through which they promised mutual help in coping with the virus and dedicated to joint technological and scientific analysis between the nations. The assertion mentioned, noting that India is at the moment dealing with over a million COVID-19 constructive circumstances. The Israeli facet mentioned India seeks to combine superior applied sciences in its hospitals as they put together to deal with huge waves of COVID-19 sufferers on an Indian scale. The Israeli corporations chosen by the 3 ministries to be dispatched to India are doubtlessly given distinctive entry to one of many largest economies on the earth to supply monitoring and therapy applied sciences, whereas considerably decreasing contact between sufferers and medical employees. The assertion mentioned by opening the door to India's market with its growth and manufacturing capabilities. These Israeli applied sciences could be mass-produced at a decreased price and will in future be collectively exported to third nations. It mentioned, on the outbreak of COVID-19 in Israel, India gave Israel particular authorization to accumulate drugs, masks and protecting gear. The embassy famous now. Israel is proud to reciprocate this vital gesture and grant authorization for buying of respirators to its nice buddy within the East. It mentioned the distinctive cooperation between India and Israel has allowed each nations to cope with the COVID-19 risk and will doubtlessly change the best way we dwell beside the virus. The embassy mentioned. Israeli ambassador to India Ron Malcolm mentioned, "I'm proud to steer this Israeli delegation to India. It's at occasions like this that our friendship is examined, and the state of Israel is pleased to lend a serving hand to India on this difficult and tough time. I'm assured that India and Israel can work collectively to search out revolutionary and low-cost options to assist the world overcome this disaster." He mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic is a world problem, so it is just proper that the answer be a world scientific cooperation between nations. Malcolm mentioned, India and Israel's army are an AMP-D cooperation is well known for its success. He added, I've little question the identical will probably be seen within the personal sector, joined by sensible scientific minds from each nations to introduce a breakthrough in swift and easy testing procedures. Malcolm mentioned, Apart from the headline, this story has not been edited by NDTV employees and is revealed from a syndicated feed.